Transfer season. It is transfer season. How we doing, everybody? Sam here, United People's TV. I'm coming to you live with these interactive shows because you seem to like them and all of you seem to comment that you want some more. So when Fabrizio Romano tweets, even if it's not the biggest major update in the world, it gives me the opportunity to speak to you live and interactive to find out where you're watching it from, run through our transfer targets again, updates on Sancho, on Torres, which I find an interesting one, on Varane. 3 players that United have been heavily linked with already this summer. And you know the drill by now. If you're new in town, make sure you let me know in the comments where around the world you're watching this from, because if you've joined in one of these live shows before, you will know that tons of people from all around the world watch it. And I always enjoy giving you shout outs as to where you're watching this from. Now, if you really want to ask me a question, make sure you fire me in a super chat as well, because there's so many comments that always come in that I really do struggle to keep on top of all the comments that are left behind. So I'll go straight to the comments now, see where you're all watching this from. Look, we got Sai watching on YouTube from Chicago. Good morning to you. We've got Andrew Logan watching from Northern Ireland. Is that from Derry? Let me know. We've got Dark Prince watching from Norway. Oliver watching from South Africa. Saul watching from Texas, USA, and Trash Trolley watching from Glasgow. Good luck to you tonight, Scotland. I'll let you know that. But let's go straight into the news and straight into the update that I want to speak about from the man himself, the considered the godfather of transfer news these days. Kind of rightly so. He's got a great track record. That's Fabrizio Romano. What has he been saying about Sancho? What's he been saying about Varane and Torres? This is the update here. Man United is still working on the Sancho deal, but will be focusing on a new centre-back this summer. And that's why this is a key update that I actually want to speak to you about. Because up until this point, we've never really known whether Manchester United have been looking for a centre-back, whether or not it had just been an afterthought, whether we were just going to be focusing on Jadon Sancho and maybe not even really going to focus on signing a player in any other position. Apparently it's a centre-back. Rafael Varane already on the list for months of United anyway. And Man United are also aware of a release clause in Pau Torres' contract that's 65 million euros. Now, that's an interesting one because Torres obviously impressed against us in the Europa League final, has impressed so far for Spain at Euro 2020, and is considered one of the many options that we do have at centre-back, whether that be Rafael Varane, whether that be Jules Koundé, whether that be Pau Torres, whether that be Sergio Ramos from Real Madrid, anybody. There's plenty of names on that list, but up until this point, maybe this bit here, look, United will be focusing on a new centre-back this summer. Let's quickly skip back to the Sancho news and the Sancho update. So the United is still working on the deal. We know what the deal is now. We know what the absolute situation is. Borussia Dortmund want 95 million euros for him. Now, as I said in my video yesterday, the sort of full story update on Jadon Sancho, it's whether or not that second bid's gone in. That's what you've got Sky Sports and Sky Germany reporting that £75 million bid has gone in, which is backed up by Patrick Berger from Sport 1. That's the interesting part there, because if that's correct, then we're really not that far away on a deal. It all depends on those add-ons and where they are. That's the interesting part. Let me see what you guys and girls have to say in the comments below. Got Kurt King watching from Jamaica. Good morning. Good afternoon to you. It's probably good afternoon by now. Got Iduna watching from NYC. Hello. How you doing? Got Delazy guys watching live. How you doing, my friend? And we've got Paul Murphy watching from NYC. Plenty of you watching from America, it seems. Look at that. Got Paul watching from Charleston in South Carolina over on Facebook. Hello to you all. Now, as I said, as always, if you have any questions you really want to ask me, make sure you fire in the super chats, because there's too many comments coming in about where you're watching it from that I really struggle to actually keep on top of them. But yeah, that update on Sancho is what it is. We know what the situation is. It's whether or not United are actually going to pull their finger out and actually pay the goddamn money. So in that sense, it's not the major update. But I wanted to speak about this. This is why it's an update on it for me, because it says we're focusing on a new centre-back. And there's no doubt that we need a new centre-back. Look, United, Harry Maguire last season, he played every single game. And whether or not you really like Harry Maguire, and Harry Maguire certainly splits opinion, I think would be a fair thing to say. Harry Maguire is the best centre-back that we have got at our club, and we need someone to partner him. Now, Harry Maguire, look, as you can see here, operates heavily on the left-hand side of the fence. That's where he plays. That's his position. So when you're looking at our targets, now this is quite an interesting one to have. Actually, I'll tell you what I'll do. I will pull up another target here, and that is Ben White, because I saw Joe Taylor. How you doing, Joe? You're saying in the comments that Ben White is the person that you would prefer. So I think what I want to do here is take a look at the centre-backs that we've been linked with, whether that's Pau Torres, Rafael Varane, Jules Koundé, and let's have a look at Ben White as well. But look at Pau Torres' heat map. And I think this is probably a crucial point as far as I'm concerned, because whoever we sign, Solskjaer is going to sign that player to partner and complement Harry Maguire. And they're not going to force Harry Maguire out of position. So when you look at someone like Pau Torres, he operates down the left. And look how deep Harry Maguire and Manchester United sit by comparison. Look at that heat map there on the edge of his own box. And look at someone like Pau Torres in Spain. Look how much happier he is bringing the ball forward. And that's the sort of player that Pau Torres is. He's not a dominant, powerful centre-back like Harry Maguire. He's a creative, what you would expect of a typical Spanish centre-back. That's more what Pau Torres is rather than Harry Maguire. And if you look at someone like Rafael Varane, he operates on the right-hand side. And you can see he's been playing well. He got 7.8 against Germany in the Euros, dropped to a 6.9. But, you know, France still looking very good. They may have drawn against Hungary, but I don't think it was the biggest upset in the entire world. Hungary are a good team. And then you look at someone like Jules Koundé. Now, this guy lives on the right-hand side. Operates more as a right-back than he does as a right centre-back. Now, he obviously hasn't been playing much at Euros. I'm not sure he's actually played at all at the Euros because France are littered with players, littered with quality everywhere. But he is more naturally suited position-wise to Harry Maguire. Let's have a look at Ben White. Again, the right-hand side. Ben White's going to be like 50, 60 million. Arsenal will link with him. Look, they're the options there that I think, the main options. You've got Pau Torres, Rafael Varane, Jules Koundé, and Ben White. Out of those four, let me know in the comments now which one you would prefer out of those four players. Because according to Fabrizio Romano, Manchester United are focusing on a centre-back. And I'll tell you what I'm going to have to do. I'll do a video. I'll be doing some follow-up videos on this, not just live videos, do a bit more research into the players and see which one would actually suit Man United best. Maybe see if I can speak to a journalist from Villarreal or Real Madrid or Sevilla or Brighton to find out exactly about how these players play, because maybe that would really help us understand who should be the player that partners Maguire. Because if Fabrizio Romano is right, and Fabrizio Romano is correct a lot of the time, we're focusing on a centre-back. But what about Sergio Ramos, eh? That is one that we have to look at, because, you know, whether or not you agree that Ramos is the right person for Manchester United to get, given that he's a short-term, probably going to be on big wages, he's an excellent centre-back. But there you go, straight away. He plays, well, he's operated in his career in Harry Maguire's position on the left-hand side. Let me see what all the comments are saying here. Got Varane's proven and at his peak will be ideal for a good few years. So you, my friend, think that Rafael Varane is the player that we should be going for. Football is Love on YouTube, you disagree, saying, look, Ramos for free. Is Ramos a free agent this summer? I actually don't really understand that. Is his contract run out? Are they just agreed to terminate his contract? Let me know what the actual story is there in the comments below. If to complement Maguire, then White or Koundé is the best option since they play well on the right-hand side. It's a good point there, and it's something that we certainly have to consider when looking at these options, because we won't just sign somebody who could purely play down the left-hand side, because that wouldn't really make sense for United. We've got to look at the other options. Of course, there are other options as well. I think you've got Christian Romero. It's someone that we should probably have a look at on screen together now. Let me type his name in there. Plays for Atalanta. Obviously, Atalanta in the last few years have really impressed, really sort of grown as a club. And Christian Romero has been part of that as well. Let's have a look at his stats here. So he's operating more as a central right. So in that sense, would complement Maguire well. I'm not really sure about his style of play. Let's kind of have a look here. I don't really know these stats in comparisons to others, because these stats don't really mean anything unless you can show them against someone else. But Christian Romero is certainly on the list. Where are you all watching this from? Let's have a quick look and a quick shout out as well. We've got Robert watching on Facebook from Ghana. How are you doing, my friend? We've got Dikembe watching from Kenya, all the way from Nairobi. How are you doing? Let's have a look. Ramos's contract is expired. Thank you all for letting me know that in the comments. So obviously he would be a free agent. Obviously take some serious wages, but he'd be a free agent. You've got Shamar watching from Jamaica. How you doing? We've got where are we going from? So many comments coming in about Ramos now. Oh, there you go. Young Money, watching from St. Lucia. Thank you very, very, very much. As always, keep firing your comments in. If you've got any questions, probably best to send them in a super chat because I will not be able to read them. There's too many comments coming in here. Who will be my choice is the question I'm going to ask myself. I like doing that. I really, really think that Raphael Varane would be the sort of... It would be more like the type of signing that Ed Woodward would make for United, but in my eyes, it would be the perfect type of signing because he's 28. He's at the peak. He's won the World Cup with France. He's won 3-4 Champions Leagues with Real Madrid. And if we look, what we're looking at now is we're looking at players that need to come into this Manchester United team to bring our level up further than it is. And our level last year was finishing second and losing a Europa League final. And we need players like Raphael Varane who are used to winning the World Cup, winning the Champions League, winning the big things. We need players like that with the mentality that they can bring into the club. So someone like Raphael Varane could come in and properly be a leader. Pau Torres obviously beat us in the final, so therefore he's got a winning mentality against Manchester United. Jules Koundé, no. Ben White, no, wouldn't have that. Sergio Ramos is the king of that mentality, but it's whether or not you feel it will be too much of a risk to put that down as a centre-back, given his injury record, given how much he would cost, and given that he's 35 years old. Do we need to sign someone more for the long term rather than the short term, which is what Sergio Ramos would be, or someone like Christian Romero? And obviously a name which keeps getting floated around, and I've had a quick look at him, and that's Sven Botman, I believe. Was he? I thought he was he's a defender. Yeah, I'm bad. My bad. But yeah, again, down the left-hand side, again, I think in my eyes, if United scouts are smart, and they really, really should be, we shouldn't really be looking at anyone who plays down the left-hand side as a natural position because they'll be forced to change to come to United. We don't want to force anybody to come and partner Harry Maguire. We want somebody to come in and naturally partner Harry Maguire. And for me, on paper, I'd probably say Raphael Varane is easily the best choice. But it's whether or not, and I don't actually personally think that Real Madrid will let Sergio Ramos leave on a free and they would sell Raphael Varane in the same summer. I personally think that's a bit of that strikes me as a crazy thing for Real Madrid to do, considering they're not going to be spending too much this summer, given that they're hugely in debt and their debts are getting called in. Barcelona as well, they're just trying to go around and snap up all the free signings in world football, and that's exactly what Real Madrid will be doing. So the idea that they maybe let Raphael Varane go, cool, they get good money for him, 50, 60 million, because they're going to lose him on a free next year. But it's, I don't know. I just don't really think they'll let two such experienced players leave in the same summer. Let's read through a few of your comments. Got Swish Dish, who knows a bit about Christian Romero. Christian Romero has a presence about him. He has a composure and quality to play at the highest level. Varane isn't a leader. Ramos makes Varane look good. Do you agree with that? In the comments, let me know. Do you think that Raphael Varane is who he is because he plays along Sergio Ramos, or the fact that he's playing in the French national team and sort of putting in the similar sorts of performances? Do you think that's an unfair comment about Raphael Varane? Let me know what you think about that. Talk about Romero, says someone else. Oh, God. We'll end up signing someone like Tyrone Mings. Maybe I'm being unfair on Tyrone Mings, but that doesn't really fill me with too much hope. He has been good for Aston Villa, but come on. Come on. Please, United, you can do better than that if we're going to be signing a centre-back this summer. And someone who you all know who I want to sign. It's not a player. It's a goddamn position. And this was my immediate reaction on Twitter to that news from Fabrizio Romano. Sancho, excellent. Centre-back, Varane or Torres, necessary. But still, there is no real mention or movement for a defensive midfielder on United's list. And it genuinely blows my mind. Look, maybe it's a case of United going after Sancho and getting the Sancho deal done. And then United apparently prioritising a centre-back over central defensive midfielder. I think that's wrong. I think it should be the central defensive midfielder first and foremost, and then looking at a centre-back and a right winger. But United are doing it in a different way round. And look, a few of you commented over on Twitter. If you're all joining in now, welcome from Twitter, saying, look, it's the one area United are ignoring, and it must be seriously improved on. Thought we had scouts all over the world. Getting a proper defensive midfielder shouldn't be that hard. And that's the thing that strikes me as a bit mad, because it really shouldn't be that hard for United to see how important it is for us to sign a defensive midfielder. You've got Scott McTominay, who's not a really defensive midfielder, more of a box-to-box player. Fred, same, more of a box-to-box player than a defensive midfielder. Matic, who's 145 years old, so you just can't rely on him playing anymore. Van der Beek, he can operate deeper, but he doesn't, and he won't ever hold that position for United. Don't know. I find it still blows my mind. It really, really does. Loads and loads of your comments coming in now. We've got Terence there saying Zakaria is so good, though. He's one of the players who obviously would love to see, who we would all love to see come into United. You can see Leicester signing Sumer when they've already got Ndidi. There's clubs all around us in the Premier League who are just doing the thing, who are getting the players that they need to do, but United really are not doing much. Got Mo over on YouTube. How are you doing, Mo? You're saying Koundé is the best option. Torres' weakness is his aerial ability. Wouldn't be an improvement on Lindelof. Koundé is strong, fast, and would suit Maguire. Varane isn't as good as people think. So that seems that Mo, obviously, they're coming over and basically not the first person to say that maybe Varane is a little bit overrated. I don't know whether that's unfair or not. Got Monte here coming in with a super chat. Thank you very much, Monte. And do I think we need a central defensive midfielder? I think, my friend, I may well have just answered that question for you. And I've said it before, and I will say it again, that I do not think that Manchester United can genuinely contend for the Premier League or the Champions League next year without signing a defensive midfielder. It's just such a gaping hole in the balance of our squad. And everybody talks about balance. And it's where our midfield is hugely imbalanced. We've got players like Pogba and Bruno, world-class, sort of more attack-minded midfielders. Sure, they can operate in a central role, but they're more gifted and more natural when they've got the ball at the feet and they're going forward. You've got players like McTominay and Fred, who, for me, are good squad players. Fred's getting into the Brazil national team here, and he does a job. He does a dirty job that no other Brazilian does. That's probably why he's in that team. But, again, they're more buzzy central midfielder. That's why I would call him a buzzy central midfielder. Somebody you can't really rely on as in the single pivot role, but somebody you can really rely on when they play together and they're covering space. They're tenaciously tackling. They're firing in for the quick interceptions. But when someone who's just like a defensive midfield powerhouse who sits there and just dominates that role in front of the defense, holds their position and just doesn't let anybody through, we don't have that in the squad. It's such a gaping hole. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Look, Chelsea and Kante, Liverpool and Fabinho, Fernandinho and City. Arsenal have got Thomas Partey. I think Højbjerg, you could probably say, operates there maybe for Spurs. It's just that United just don't have anybody in that role. Let's see what else we've got here. We've got Gabriel watching from Zambia. Hello to you as well. See what else. Ronaldo coming home, says Suhei Chong. I don't think he will, but I don't doubt that those rumours are going to be here all summer long. We've got Elliot watching from Botswana. Midge saying it's coming home. We'll find out tonight. Eh? England playing against Czech Republic. I think we've already qualified. But yeah, look, an interesting one from there. Talking about England. What about Rice? Now, Declan Rice, I've said it all along that I want to see Declan Rice impress me in these Euros and sort of show me that he can play in that single pivot role. He hasn't really played it because Gareth Southgate's been playing two holding midfielders and he's been outperformed by Calvin Phillips, who I've spoken about previously. Obviously plays that role for Leeds. Would we sign a player from Leeds? Yeah, we signed Cantona. Yeah, we signed Alan Smith. And yeah, we signed Rio Ferdinand. So yes, we would. So that's not an issue. Calvin Phillips might be one of the breakout players. It's not as if he's breakthrough. He's just played a whole season in the Premier League. But in terms of being in the eyes of the public, I mean, Michael Carrick went under the radar for so long, and maybe players in these sorts of positions do. But Declan Rice, for the amount of money that he's going to cost, which is in the region of, 80, 90 million pounds. If you pay that much for that type of player, you need someone who's like established, ready to dominate in that role. Harry Maguire was overpriced. Paul Pogba was that sort of player, 80, 90 million. And I don't, for me, think that Rice is worth that much money. I might be wrong. You might disagree with me, but let me know what you think. Make sure you keep firing in your questions in the comments and in the super chats as well if you've really got something to say to me, and it always helps the channel when you send them in. But let's keep going back to the comments because I enjoy answering them. We've got Melissa, hello, watching from Damascus. Wicked. We've got Wish Money watching from Zambia. Rajan, you're there talking about Declan Rice. You're saying he's just an ordinary player. And I personally think that as well. Let's have a quick look at Declan Rice's stats over on SofaScore. He's just, don't know, man. I think Declan Rice has got he's got the Premier League tax put on him. He's got the English player tax. He's got the fact that United might be signing him player tax. 6.6, 6.7. What is that by comparison of Calvin Phillips? I'll be interested to know that, actually. Calvin Phillips. There. What do you think the score will be tonight, by the way? England, Czech Republic. I think England need to win to go top of the group because we're second at the moment, but I'm not really sure about that. 7.3 and a 6.5. Maybe I'm being unfair on Declan Rice. Maybe I'm expecting to see him do wonderful things in that role, a bit like Locatelli has done for Italy. But maybe they're the sorts of players that you just don't recognize, you don't notice during a game because they're just operating in that, just winning the ball, passing it on. And over the course of a 90-minute match, that's not the sort of thing that you really remember from a football game. But then on the other hand, Calvin Phillips, I mean, he certainly played at a higher role against Croatia where he scored a goal. He was fantastic. Actually, no, not scored a goal, got the assist. If you look at his heat map here, he played quite high up the pitch. If you go there, look at Declan Rice, I imagine he sat there very deep. So maybe I'm being unfair on Declan Rice when I'm saying that. But I don't know. I just don't really like the idea of spending 90 million on Declan Rice, especially in a summer where I don't really think we're probably going to be spending upwards of 100 million. So I think it very much depends on players being sold. It should just be, if we can get Jesse Lingard to go to West Ham, get 30 million for him, then bring Declan Rice in for 50, 60 million. I'd be fine with that. I think that would be a smart move. And maybe, it's not my money. I shouldn't care about how much the players cost, sure. But I care about the players that my club is going to sign this summer. And therefore, the idea of spending 90 million on Declan Rice, I don't like the idea of, because I know we won't then spend that money elsewhere. And it's going to be a summer where we're tight. Everyone's tight. It's a coronavirus market. If the Glazers needed an excuse, and they don't need an excuse, but if the Glazers needed an excuse not to sign and spend a lot of money, this is the summer where they've got that excuse. Where are you watching this from? Let's keep shouting these bad boys out. We've got Rion watching from Granada on YouTube. Good morning, good afternoon. Hello to you. James watching from Kenya. How you doing, my friend? Paul on Facebook. Good point here about Frank Kessie. Obviously, he was very impressive for United. I'll tell you what, I've really got to do some videos on defensive midfielders, don't I? I've been talking about it so much. I've been banging the drum about how much we need to sign one, that I really should be doing some videos on probably the key targets and who would be best for us. Let's have a quick shout. We've got Denmark. Adam watching from Denmark. Congratulations to Denmark last night. 4-1 winners over Russia. A hugely emotional game in the same stadium where only a few games ago Christian Eriksen collapsed and thankfully has recovered and is well. But Denmark through to the knockouts, and it was a wonderful atmosphere to see how much emotion was there in the stadium, and cracking goals as well, the first and the third. We've got Jervin watching from St. Lucia. We've got Leopold watching from Jamaica alongside Jeffrey Brown. We've got Laxon watching from South Africa, and we've got Marley watching from Antigua. It's wicked, honestly, man. I really should. I keep saying this. I should put a pin in the map and see where everybody's watching it from. We've got Young watching from school. It's better than a lesson, isn't it? It's definitely better than a lesson. And maybe you're learning something. Maybe not. But as always, keep sending your comments in and fire me in any questions in super chats that you'd like me to answer. But I'll quickly run through what the main purpose of the video was for today, and that is all about Fabrizio Romano's update. Now, we're working on the Sancho deal. We already know we're working on the Sancho deal. Let's see what happens there. And there's no massive developments in that regard. But United are going to be focusing on a new centre-back, which probably means that United are holding that in higher regard than a central defensive midfielder. I personally think that's a wrong decision. I think that United should be focusing on a defensive midfielder than a centre-back. But maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has more trust in McTominay and Fred than I ever gave him credit for. And that scares me because United playing with two holding midfielders is holding us back, because we've got so many by playing two holding midfielders in the Fred and McTominay double pivot, you then take away from the fact that we can't play Pogba and Van der Beek and Bruno Fernandes with the real strengths. You can't play them all together. Well, you can, but then you've got to take, I don't know. Just for me, it's where the balance really is wrong in this United squad. But we're working on a new centre-back. Raphael Varane Been on our list for months. Let's see what happens. I personally don't think that Ramos and Varane will leave Real Madrid in the same summer. I'd love to be proven wrong, and I'd love him to sign it for United, but let's see what happens there. And the release clause in Pau Torres' contract being 65 million, not 50 million euros this summer. Maybe that will put United off, but as has been said in the comments below, and as you can see by taking a look at his heat map over on SofaScore, you can see how aggressive he is as a defender. He's used to playing a high position. He's used to having possession of the ball. He's used to dominating the games in that regard. And it's a very different thing. And when you're at United and you need to play on the left-hand side where Harry Maguire is, maybe Pau Torres wouldn't be the smartest of signings because he's used to operating on that side too. I don't know. But for 65 million, he'd certainly be quite an expensive defender. Maybe not the right one. Let's see what the comments are coming in with now quickly before I fire off. And as I said, look, please send in your super chats as well. The more, the merrier. We've got Anthony watching from Belfast. How you doing, my friend? We've got Yunus watching from Somalia. Good morning, good afternoon to you. We've got Dominic watching from Adelaide in Australia. Looks like you might be an Italian fan as well, my friend. We've got Michael watching from Jamaica. How you doing, my friend? And another Michael watching from Ghana. And Shivek, you're preaching to the choir here by saying Ruben Neves. My God, I need to do a video on Ruben Neves, really. I need to do so many videos. My word. And you got a comment here saying, look, from Rick Special, which is a fair comment. Why can't Harry Maguire play on the right-hand side? You know, he could play on the right-hand side, but why are you going to sign a centre? Why are you going to spend money on signing a centre-back to force the other centre-back out of position? That would be poor scouting. What you need is you sign a centre-back who's going to complement Harry Maguire. Therefore, somebody who's going to operate more naturally on the right-hand side of the fence. And when you're looking at our targets here, that's where Rafael Varane fires in. It's where Jules Koundé falls in. It's where Ben White goes into. Sergio Ramos, he operates on the left. So does Pau Torres. What about Sven Botman? Again, he strikes me as more of a Lindelof-type player. Very good with the ball at his feet. Is used to playing further up the pitch. Christian Romero, not got much of a heat map, really. Hardly touched the ball. But is he joining Juventus? No, I don't know whether that means he's joining or whether that's just a transfer rumor. Right, let's have a quick final look at the comments here before we sign off for this one. Otherwise, I'm just going to start dragging on. Got Giggs watching from Pakistan. We've got Shubham watching from India. We've got Kezito watching from Sierra Leone. Peter watching on Facebook from Botswana. Charles watching from Malaysia. And before I leave, make sure if you're watching on YouTube and you're new, I hope you enjoy this conversation, this interactive conversation, but make sure you subscribe. It's free. Hit the subscribe button down below. Subscribe button down below, and make sure you join in with any more of these streams that I do, and I'll do plenty more. And I'm also going to be doing plenty more non-live videos as well because I enjoy doing them, and it gets me more articulate and do some research into it. Oh, look, Tristan watching from Canada. First time I've seen Canada pop up. So thank you all very much for joining in. Thank you all very much for your comments and your super chats that you sent in. Make sure you subscribe, as I said, on YouTube. And if you're on Facebook, drop a like on the video. Make sure you share the video too. Invite other people to get involved in these interactive streams. I enjoyed it. That's the update from Fabrizio. That's the update from me. It's good to have a nice chat about centre-backs, about the options that we've got there. We've got plenty of options. Let's see what happens. But a central defensive midfielder still for me is the priority, and I think I'm going to have to do a video specifically on that. And so, enjoy the games tonight. What is it? We've got England against Czech Republic and Scotland against Croatia. Good luck to Scotland. I'd rather see them go through. Let's see what goes on there. And if they get through with the first knockout stage they've ever reached in a major competition, be big. But until next time,